There we go.
Hi, I'm Joe, and waiting for our wizard in residence, Gary, to join us. He's just set up the camera, and of course he's going to lead us in the Changing Destiny chapter.
I'm trying to change my destiny right now.
He's trying to sit down.
All right.
Change his destiny. And
okay, so here we are. So this Changing Destiny article is a co-effort here between Joe and me. And I know he said I'm leading, but we're co-doing this together here. Anyway, let's get right into it. The article is Changing Destiny, and the first point that the article makes, in my opinion, is that Nichiren Buddhism exists to relieve people of suffering and enable them to become truly happy. Toward that end, it teaches the law of cause and effect, which underlies the Buddhist doctrine of karma. So, Joe, do you want to add anything?
No, I'll.
Okay, you'll just jump in.
I'll jump
whenever. Okay. So, cause and effect is is an expression of karma. Karma means action, and one of the things that this article talks about is the fact that when we take action, the effects are engraved in our lives, and then they become manifest at the appropriate time. And the next kind of bullet point in the article is that the sufferings of hell will vanish instantly. So, like, what does this mean? What is the fact that the suffering of hell will vanish instantly? And Nichiren Daishonin makes this article talks about a distinguishment between the general law of cause and effect and the law, or a deeper or deepest law of cause and effect that's in operation.
Is distinguishment a word?
Yes, it is. Yeah, I made it. Yes. Do you know that the English language is evolving? That's why they...
As we speak.
Yes, exactly. Cognite. Did you know that cognite is not in the dictionary either as a verb? Cognition is as an adjective, but...
I've never heard of cognite. That's a great word.
Yeah, I like it. I made it up.
You did?
Yes. About 10 years ago.
What was going on in your life at that point?
I was thinking about something, obviously. So anyway...
That's great.
So the excerpt from here is, he says that, he writes that one who slights another will in turn be despised. One who deprecates those of handsome appearance will be born ugly. This is the general law of cause and effect.
Now see, I take issue with that, but let me just jump in here because I want to, rather than talking about being born ugly or handsome, I want to just say something that Daisaku Ikeda said from this wonderful book, The Buddha in Your Mirror. And he talks about Buddhism being subdivided into cause and effect, into internal causes, external causes, latent effects, and manifest effects. And it's kind of what Gary said earlier, in terms of every activity is a result of some kind of, external stimulus, but there is an internal cause that was there. And this is what Ikeda says. Every activity in life is a result of this external stimulus. At the same time, the true cause, or the inherent cause within each human being. To give you a simple example, if someone hits you and you hit back, the first blow is the stimulus leading to the second, but it is not the ultimate cause. You can maintain that you hit that person because he hit you, but in fact you hit him because you are you, and the real cause was inside you, ready to be activated. So that's kind of an interesting thing I want to just throw in relation to this.
Okay, thanks, Joe. I really appreciate that. So Nichiren Daishonin teaches that, in contrast to the general causal law, to which he gave an example about earlier, the deepest causes and effect arise from our relationship to the mystic law of Nam-myoho Renge-kyo, which functions at the core of life itself. Nichiren identifies the source of all the opposition and suffering he faces as he propagates the Lotus Sutra, which expounds the working of the mystic law as his own past disbelief in and disparagement of the mystic law. By facing hardships that come from his committed propagation of the law, he's not only deeply expiating his karma, but also activating within his life the state of Buddhahood. The same process applies to each of us. This is a very, 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 very fundamental point. I've often thought in my life that all my suffering is due to my attachment of the suffering that arises from what appear to be external stimuli in the universe. But the core of the suffering arises from my attachment to that suffering that is related to that external stimuli. That's kind of like how I kind of internalize this teaching. Nichiren further clarifies that the source of negative karma is life's fundamental darkness or ignorance, which makes it difficult to recognize the functioning of the mystic law within our own lives and in the lives of others.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, I think a lot of people can relate to that, you know, that there's a fundamental darkness that pervades humanity. If you think of war and you think of, you know, desolation, a lot of things that are outwardly happening, you can imagine that there's this fundamental darkness, and that if everything pervades all of us, if that law, if whatever laws there are is permeating matter and us as well, why wouldn't that, you know, why wouldn't we tap into that fundamental darkness at times? The same way we can tap into Nam-myoho Renge Kyo to transmute that darkness.
I completely agree. So how do you bring this down to the street level, right? How do we deal with this on a daily basis, right? I think that's a question that we eternally struggle with throughout our entire lives,
right.
And that's why you know, we do morning and evening Gongyo, and we practice, and you know, we get together and encourage each other, because it's an eternal striving. It never ends. And actually this article continues to say, by recognizing and striving to work in harmony with this law, we can overcome our fundamental darkness, the root source of karmic suffering. When we do so, Nichiren says the sufferings of hell will vanish instantly. So,
and you know, and I just want to point something out. It's again quoting from this book by Woody Hochswender, Greg Martin, and Ted Marino, The Buddha in Your Mirror. They talk about the principle of karma, that you can't really escape your past actions per se, and that they permeate our lives from the past, the present, and the future. And maybe you could say that nothing is forgotten or erased. But a lot of people think that, you know, potentially there's so much in our past lives that we may have accumulated, and that's negative, that how would you ever get rid of it all? But the wonderful thing in Buddhism is that we create karma through, and this is a quote, we create karma through our own actions, and thus we have the power to change. This is the promise of this practice of Buddhism. So when we chant Nam-myoho Renge Kyo, we can begin to illuminate the negative aspects of our karma. We can see each weakness vividly, again I'm quoting, and can then take steps to transform ourselves and our destiny. Nichiren uses the metaphor of a mirror to suggest this process of self-perception.
there was a really interesting point that this article made earlier, so I'm going back a little bit. It says, according to the ancient view of karma, one had to create enough good causes to attain enlightenment, or Buddhahood. That is, to become absolutely happy would require an endless lifetimes of good causes. That is why most Buddhist teachings, other than the Lotus Sutra, speak of endless kalpas of practice being necessary to attain Buddhahood. That's because, as the article states even earlier than that, life is eternal. So if you think about eternity is just another name for infinity, except eternity applies the concept of infinity to time. And if you throw Einstein's theory of general relativity in there, it's also space. Because time and space are inexorably intertwined. So when you look up at the night sky, for example, and you see all those stars, one of those stars is 1,000,000 light years away, the one right next to it is 1,000,000,000 light years away, and the one right next to that is 100,000,000 light years away, but you're seeing them all at the same time. So in a sense, the picture of the night sky that you're looking at really doesn't exist. It only exists in your perception, because all the light that's hitting your eyes is coming to you from different time periods.
Wow, you guys getting it? All right.
So Nichiren Daishonin's Buddhism teaches the concept of Ichinen and Sanzen, which means, that our lives permeate the three realms, right? The realm of the five components, which is our individual bodies. Mm-hmm. The realm of society, which is a collection of a human collective. And the realm of land, which is space, which could also be, based on this discussion we just had, time. So our lives permeate space and time. So when we look at that external stimulus that is stimulating our negative karma, that's really coming from our own life. Even the external stimulus that appears to be coming from the outside.
Now, that's so brilliant. Do you guys got that? Could you translate what you just said? And how is that that innate darkness coming from us when it appears to be coming from the outside?
Because that is us. It's all us.
That's us?
Yes.
This is us, and that's us.
You betcha.
Okay, you got that.
Yes. That boss that's given us a really hard time.
That's us.
Or that lady.
The
that
lady.
That really pushed your buttons.
Right.
That was you.
That was me.
That was you doing it to you. And
why, though?
Uh,
That's for another hour.
Here's the thing. The thing is, what do you do with all this information, right? And what Nichiren Daishonin says is you always return to the source, which is Nam-myoho Renge Kyo. Your deepest, most fundamental identity is Nam-myoho Renge Kyo, your life itself. And so that kind of goes beyond. I mean, I'm sure we've all had that moments where we've had the kind of perspective where it's all good. Nothing matters. It's all good. It's all lovely. It's all beautiful, right? That's when, you're kind of like you're closer to that place. So what Nichiren Daishonin taught is, what he gave us as, Nichiren Daishonin's Buddhism is all about self-empowerment. He gave us a vehicle and a practice for self-empowerment, for saying, okay, it's all me. I somehow need to take responsibility for this, and I'm going to do that a number of ways. I'm going to chant Nam-myoho Renge Kyo morning and evening and recite the Lotus Sutra. And I'm also going to endeavor to enlighten other people to this mystic law. And thereby creating a stronger cause for happiness in this world.
Right, and I just want to add to that our practice, again, quoting from the book, The Buddha in the Mirror, initially provides clear and practical benefits. We see that in terms of actual proof. But they also it gives you a more positive spirit, which is really one of the most hopeful things about our practice. That you chant, you always feel better, and it generates that from deep inside. And this in turn can lead to wisdom and constructive action to transform whatever it is that we're facing, or whatever innate darkness we might be bringing up. Chanting really kind of transforms that and turns it into value.
So we're running out of time, so
yeah.
I just want to quote one more time from the Gosho, and this is like when we're at the street level, as I like to say, and we're confronting our own fundamental darkness, and we feel like crap, and none of this really feels encouraging at all. Nichiren Daishonin writes, "Iron, when heated in flames and pounded, becomes a fine sword." That's from Letter from Sato. And the flaws in iron come to the surface when it is forged. That's from Letter to the Brothers. A strong sword is made by pounding a piece of hot iron and bringing out its impurities. Likewise, we can develop an unbreakable solid self by squarely confronting and overcoming obstacles. So when you feel like you're getting pounded, let's go to that passage and feel encouraged. Okay, we're out of time. See you next week. We're going to be doing Nam-myoho Renge Kyo.
Next week is the big one, Nam-myoho Renge Kyo. We'll see you next week.